Superman news video for the week April 25th to May 1st, 2014. Our top news stories in this week's Speeding Bulletin include: Warner Brothers confirms that they're making a Justice League movie. Around 3,000 people turn up for extras casting for the Superman-Batman film. And Joe Quesada reveals how little he understood Man of Steel. Let's jump in and take a look at these stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. The Wall Street Journal revealed that Warner Brothers president of worldwide production Greg Silverman said the studio has set plans to make a Justice League movie. Like Man of Steel and its follow-up, which starts production this month, Justice League will be directed by Zack Snyder. Silverman said Superman vs. Batman will lead into Justice League. The guys at TMZ caught up with Henry Cavill as he arrived in Los Angeles this week, where he revealed he'd really like to see Superman vs. Doomsday on film.
In the universe of Superman, who is the one person that you think he should fight that he hasn't?
I really like the Doomsday fight.
Really?
Yeah.
An estimated 3,000 people turned up for the extras casting call, which took place on Sunday, April 27th at the Somerset Inn Hotel in Troy, Michigan, for the upcoming Superman-Batman movie. They were lined up around the block. Superman fan Jeff Frost dropped by the location of the Kent farm in Yorkville, Illinois, to grab a few new shots of the building, which has now been fully reconstructed in preparation for filming to begin on the Superman-Batman movie. Jeff notes that crew were seen taking off the boards covering the windows of the Kent farmhouse, which leads him to believe that filming may be taking place there in the next week or so. The Men's Journal magazine published a long article on the dedication and hard work that goes into building today's action hero bodies for the movies, with Mark Twight from Jim Jones heaping praise on Henry Cavill's commitment towards becoming Superman for Man of Steel. The trainer has nothing but praise for Cavill, who had to keep up his physique for a grueling 127-day shoot. Twight said, "It's not like you're peaking a guy for 3 days for his shirtless scene, you're living with this guy for a year." Speaking on ABC News Radio, Dean Cain said he can't wait to see Henry Cavill and Amy Adams return as Superman and Lois Lane in the follow-up to Man of Steel, but he did have some problems with the first movie. He said it was kind of devoid of the two things that made our show special, which were humour and romance. But he also added, "I think Henry did a great job. They were going for that angsty alien real feel. It was pretty cool." Joe Quesada, Marvel Entertainment's chief creative officer, spoke with Kevin Smith on his Fat Man on Batman podcast, where he revealed that he not only didn't like Man of Steel, but he obviously has a bias against the character, blatantly misunderstanding the film's premise. He said, "At the end of the day, Zod was the hero of the movie to me." He also added, "Correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't say I want to rebuild Krypton and then come back and destroy this little planet. All I want is to rebuild this planet, and the only reason I'm blowing everything to bits here is because you've got what I want and you're not giving it to me, so please give me my people and I'll leave." Really, Joe? What movie were you watching? Zod was clearly wanting to rebuild Krypton here on Earth, thereby destroying our planet? Seriously. Anyway, last week, just after we finished putting together last Friday's Speeding Bulletin, Variety reported that Zack Snyder had cast Ray Fisher to play the role of Cyborg in the upcoming Superman-Batman movie. There hasn't been an official announcement from Warner Brothers yet, but it's only a matter of time. In comic book news, DC Comics hosted a Superman comic book panel at the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo this past weekend, with John Cunningham introducing panellists Greg Pak, Aaron Kuder, Scott Snyder and Charles Soule to talk about their respective Superman books. Everything was mostly centered around the Superman Doom saga currently kicking off in the Superman titles, with Greg Pak announcing that there will be a Batman-Superman issue of Doomed, not previously announced as part of the crossover. Comic books we reviewed this week included Superman number 30, which was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who gave it a 2 out of 5, saying, "The threads that have been woven over time seem to have become muddled and result in a dire offering." Adam also reviewed Teen Titans number 30, saying, "Reading this you can see why this book deserves to die," and he rated this a lowly 1 out of 5. Batman Superman number 9 was reviewed by Michael J. Petty, who said Batman Superman seems to be a very hit or miss book, and he gave this issue a 3 out of 5. Michael also reviewed World's Finest number 21, which concludes the First Contact story, saying a very action-packed issue which I really liked and think we needed after Batman Superman number 9, and he rated this a 4 out of 5. Trinity of Sin, The Phantom Stranger number 18 featured Superman, and T.A. Hewitt said, every so often readers need to be reminded that Superman doesn't just save the people, but that he also cares about the people. And he gave this issue a 4 out of 5. Matt Shaw reviewed Smallville Lantern Chapter 7, giving it a 4 out of 5, saying this issue pretty much lays the groundwork for the upcoming final act, and it does it well. Injustice Year 2 Chapter 8 was reviewed by T.A. Hewitt, who said, the biggest problem with this story is that everyone is guilty of doing the same thing, and he gave it a 3 out of 5. T.A. also reviewed Secret Origins number 1, saying, it's sad to say that this format seems superfluous in 2014, and he rated it a 3 out of 5. And from last week, Justice League Beyond 2.0 Chapter 18 was also reviewed by T.A. Hewitt, who gave it a 5 out of 5, saying, this installment is without a doubt one of Gage's best. Superman comics available this week from April 30th include Adventures of Superman number 12 print edition, Batman Beyond Universe number 9 print edition, Injustice Gods Among Us Year 2 number 4 print edition, Scribblenauts Unmasked Crisis of Imagination number 4 print edition, Smallville Lantern Chapter 8 digital comic will be available May 2nd, Justice League Beyond 2.0 Chapter 19 digital comic will be available May 3rd, Batman Superman Volume 1 Crossworld hardcover, Superman Batman Volume 1 trade paperback, and DC Comics New 52 Teen Titans Superboy action figure. Superman had 2 wonderful mothers in both Lara and Martha. You too can show your mum how wonderful you think she is with these great Mother's Day gifts. Get her a Super Mum Shield Superman t-shirt from $14.43. Or how about an Under Armour Women's Supergirl semi-fitted t-shirt for $25.99. These and other Super Mother's Day gift ideas are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. In other news, in a celebration of more than a year of battles and 2 billion play sessions, Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment and DC Entertainment announced last Friday that Injustice Gods Among Us for iPad, iPhone and iPod Touch is now offering an all-new multiplayer mode. Developed from the ground up by award-winning NetherRealm Studios, players can now engage in battle with other players' teams to score currency, experience and gear cards that can equip characters with new powers. The Android update is scheduled to be available in May. For more information and the latest updates, visit injustice.com. Square Enix has given fans a first look at their upcoming DC Comics variant static arts minifigures, which include Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman. These minifigures are styled after their variant Play Arts Kai figures. No release date or pricing information has been made available as yet. Lois Amster, the woman who many consider to be the true original inspiration for the character of Lois Lane, passed away last week aged 97. A resident of Cleveland for 92 years, Lois was a girl in Jerry Siegel's class at Glenville High School who he had a crush on, but she barely knew that he existed. A graveside service was held this week at the Western Reserve Cemetery in Chesterland, Ohio. Our condolences to her family and friends. A family in Vilonia, Arkansas are using a large Man of Steel action figure which survived through a massive tornado as a symbol of hope to continue on and rebuild their lives.
Smith returned Monday morning to a broken home, but this Superman statue from his son's bedroom window was found in the debris and propped up to help give strength to those who lost so much in this community.
And his little Superman was out in the yard, and his little 4-year-old boy's daddy, Superman. So I got it and said, you know, well, it could be worse. We're going to give people some hope, and we're going to stick it up and try to do the best we can.
Episode 112 of Radio KAL, the monthly podcast of the Superman homepage, is now available to listen to. Scotty and I discussed the Justice League movie announcement, new actors cast for the Superman-Batman movie, Zack Snyder's Christopher Reeve comments, David Goyer on a cohesive DC movie universe, Hans Zimmer returning to score the Superman-Batman movie, Gravity's alternate Superman ending, DC Comics cancelling Adventures of Superman, all the latest Superman comic books, Superman's 76th anniversary, Superman Celebration celebrities, and much more. Check it out at supermanhomepage.com/radio. That's all the Superman news there was for the week April 25th to May 1st. I'm Steve Younis from supermanhomepage.com.
Great Scott. Great Scott. Great Scott.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fabulous episode. I don't know, fabulous. It's here. I'm Scotty V, and you're watching Great Scott. Thanks for tuning in. Does it say that anymore? What I wanted to talk about today was something I brought up in April's Radio KAL broadcast, which will have been up for a day or two by the time you see this episode, and that is the idea that Zack Snyder is now saying that Batman was his idea all along, and that where else can you go after a invasion of the Earth that was going to destroy everybody and kill everybody, and superpowered beings that could topple mountains, for someone to face off against Superman, but to Batman. And once you mention Batman when you're in the room, how do you get away from it without getting all excited about it? Well, I'll tell you how. Any way you possibly can. But I've already covered that. I didn't want to talk about the unlikeliness, in my opinion, that Batman would be a formidable opponent for Superman after seeing Zod and Zod's friends in Man of Steel. But what I did want to mention was that my memory, and I don't have the proof right now, and you'll hear Steve on the Radio KAL broadcast say that he doesn't necessarily remember it, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. My memory is that he came out pretty much right after the announcement at Comic-Con that they were going to do Batman and Superman together in the next movie, the follow-up to Man of Steel, after he said, "Oh, they are going to do another Superman movie." Everyone went nuts. And then he had Henry Lennox come up, Harry Lennox. Then he had him come up and read the quote from The Dark Knight Rises, or Returns, The Dark Knight Returns. And everyone went nuts with that, because for years and years, people have wanted to see Batman and Superman on screen together. And now we have Wonder Woman and Cyborg. But my memory is that there was a release not long after that of a quote that he mentioned when someone asked him what changed his mind. Because at the Comic-Con before Man of Steel was released in 2012, I guess, the 2012 Comic-Con, he said that someone asked him who would win against Nolan's Batman and his Man of Steel Superman, and he laughed and said, "I love Nolan and I love The Dark Knight. I love his Dark Knight trilogy, and I love Batman, but this is Superman we're talking about. It's just a goofy question. Silly that people keep bringing it up. Obviously, Batman is no match for Superman." And now suddenly he's going to be the enemy after facing off against a Kryptonian invasion force. Batman's the only one now who can stand against him. And Snyder was saying it was his idea, and it was great, and it's the greatest thing you think of. This is the kind of thing that's coming off now. Then, after the announcement at Comic-Con, it was kind of mentioned, well, you kind of poo-pooed the idea of Batman. You kind of pushed him away, and now you're kind of doing a Batman versus Superman. What's the deal? And he said, well, this is what the studio wants, and they're my bosses, and if this is the way they want it to go, then this is what... Why are you out here? So what he said then was, well, it was just something that the studio wants, and it's something that he has to do because they're his bosses, and if he wants to keep the job. So before, it was a really dumb idea. How could you bring up Batman against Superman? And now it's then it was, well, they're my bosses. I have to do it. And he was clearly chagrined by it. And now suddenly it's his idea. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and everybody's going to love it. It's going to be great. And how do you get away from it once you mention Batman in a Superman movie? And that might be true. Batman and Superman together hasn't been done before on screen. Lots of fans are looking forward to it. Some people are kind of against the idea because it's been kind of played off as a Batman versus Superman, but we don't know that yet. It could just be Batman investigating Superman, which if Batman was Batman, he probably would. And, with his resources and his money, he would probably try and figure out what they could do in the event of an invasion like this, even though in my mind there wouldn't really be anything that they could do as humanity. Although the human part of Man of Steel was awesome because he worked together with the army and he worked together with Lois and he figured out what needed to be done, and he went out and stopped the one thing while they went ahead with his plan with the other. So it was neat the way he included humanity, and I would guess that would be something that they would bring up against those who would detract from Superman, because he would say, look, he had the greatest cooperation with humanity ever, and we saved the entire world. But I like the backpedaling. I find it very funny, and if you look it up, I think you'll see some of these things that I'm talking about. He clearly was upset about it. You know, I mentioned in several Great Scots, and I think Radio KAL as well, that it looked almost like there was a good chance we'd see Zack Snyder depart from the project, which would have made a lot of people happy. But I liked the direction that Man of Steel was going in, even if there were some things that I might have changed or some things some people didn't like. Overall, I liked the feel of it. I wanted to see a sequel, and I think we're going to get to that eventually, and this might be more of a sequel than people think. Who knows? But I do think that he was upset about it, and I don't think his plan was to include Batman, and now suddenly that's the word, that's going to be, that was his idea, he brought it up, and or someone mentioned it, and then he ran with it, and, you know, whatever. Not that he was kind of forced to do it by the studio, which is what he said after the fact. But we'll see how it goes. I'm still looking forward to it. You know, I like the idea of kind of a prelude to the Justice League, kind of showing people that we can do a shared universe too, you know, from DC's point of view, and we're going to do it this way. And I think this movie has the potential to be very, very successful. It's showing many DC heroes together on screen for the first time, and it springs off from the Man of Steel universe with all the characters from that film, and I like that film. So, thanks everybody for watching, and remember, always look up in the sky. Even if you're Snyder and you said that Batman was goofy and a dumb question to ask if he could face off against Superman, but now it's your idea and you thought it was great. I hate my pinched nose.